Okay, we're live. Hey, everybody. Session 44 in the books. um, without beating around any bushes, let's just get to it. So, this week's prep was Scarwall and lots of it. Oh my God, so much Scarwall. And there's a lot left to do. I made 26, more than 26 portals, which are the drag drop prompt things, and I didn't cover the murder holes that the party wound up using. So for everything that they did not use the stuff that I prepped yet. I used it with my NPCs, not that they saw that, but yeah, fun. So as a personal note, as a bit of advice to dungeon masters, I came out of last week's session with some excitement and was ready to go. I had over prepped a little for last week and felt like I should start go ahead and laying in some encounters, start going ahead and doing some conversions, and I didn't do it, and that was dumb. I should have done it. Because when it came around to doing it this week, and life got in the way, and I didn't want to, and I didn't want to, and I didn't want to, and I was underprepared, and it was not fun. It was painful, not like horrible or anything, but um, unpleasant and not hobbyist type entertainment, if that makes sense. Because I procrastinated. I had energy, I had desire, I didn't act on it when that was there. My advice to you and to myself in the future is monopolize that, capitalize on that. If you feel like doing it or it seems like it'd be fun, do it. Strike while the iron is hot. Because you come up against a deadline, like I did this week, it takes the fun out of it. Anyway, that's just a little tip. What did I do to convert? Straight proxies. So the Lashton and Skeletal Warriors came from Death Knights, and Sword Wraith Warriors, Skeletal Champions were Sword Wraith Warriors, 1-to-1. They talked their way through that encounter, and it's one of those things where it makes very little sense from a story perspective to allow that to happen. So I paused the stream, so to speak, sort of ground everything to a halt. But I thought it was important to let at least some of this work, right? You've got a character whose player has leveraged social encounters as their bag, right? This is their big trick. Their one really cool thing that they can do better than anybody, and you should at least occasionally, not every encounter, but occasionally make sure that that pays off, right? It's all about player agency. They made the decision to build the character this way, and you should let that invest. I'm getting more and more permissive as time goes on. We had a violation of the rules of spell twinning, and I simply do not care. It's one of those things. It's like you're killing an orc. Fine, yes, kill the orc. Let's move on. But other better dungeon masters would be more stricter. Um, I mean, more permissive. Excuse me. We're almost finishing up this project. We're in the midst of chapter 5, well underway. Chapter 6 is the last one. Almost done. So, there you go. Um, Straight proxies for pretty much everything. On the Scarwall Guard, I used Minotaur skeleton stats because they are Minotaur skeletons. And it's not really even a conversion. That is a 1-to-1 swap. I did change the name to Scarwall Guard, and they're fighting those now. Pins. So many maps. All of the maps. The caverns don't have a teleporter because that's not how the caverns work. More on that later. But all of these other teleporters, stairs 1, stairs 1 up, stairs 1 down, stairs 2 up, stairs 2 down, stairs 3 up, stairs 3 down, through stairs 21. And then there were some stairs that weren't labeled. So area C21 has its stairs. So C21 up, C21 down, and on and on and on. It's fine. The Casway encounter, like I mentioned, was ready. The watch posts of the gateways, excuse me, were ready. So that was all prepped. I did not have the corpse orgy, which is what Pfizer named it, not me, but the living, breathing pile of bodies. did not have that ready, but I did a quick proxy swap in the middle of the game. So I thought we'd finish the encounter and deal with the lighting and sight issues. We did some of that. We did our brief orc fight. They lost Zelaria, which was kind of bound to happen because we'd all kind of forgotten she was around. I haven't been doing the harrowing, for example, mostly because the fiddly plus ones that it provides are very third edition and not terribly compatible with fifth edition. I've also lightened up on the loot. I will need to make sure and reward the characters with some loot and increase in power, but certainly not in the third edition, like everything drops a +1 sword sort of way. They bluffed their way past the entry guardian, then the corpse orgy. What did I use for that? I'm going to make a note of it here, simply because I should have already made that note of it. Yes. Out of the Spelljammer book, I used a greater Starspawn emissary. And made it a little bit bigger. Made it take up physically more of the room. This is like a CR21 thing. It has a lot of legendary actions. Hush, I'm trying to make a video. Sorry, guys. And maybe I don't use those. Maybe I don't use legendary resistance. Maybe we bring the difficulty down that way. But, plus 14 to hit, 290 hit points. It's only got 15 AC. They'd probably make short work of it, but it had appropriate art. It had some appropriate abilities. It seemed like a reasonable fit. It's more powerful than the thing in the book, but they chose to go around it. Pardon me. So they chose to avoid it, as would be prudent in this situation, and they may not go back that way. Something about Scarwall the party doesn't know yet, but they will soon learn. They can't rest inside. So they're skipping some encounters. It's going to be a problem when it comes time to leave the castle to regen their spells, if they so choose. Maybe they cantrip and sword their way through the entire thing. If so, that's going to make it far more difficult than they're used to, because they're burning spells left and right, assuming that they're going to be able to rest. They do have the tiny hut and some other like rest in place sort of things, but Scarwall causes nightmares and makes it impossible to get restful sleep, at least until they've dealt with the majority of the problems. So can't get their spells back, tiny hut or not. At least that's the way I'm going to play it. So we'll see. They may regret the decision to skip. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a straight up combat slog, but it might. If everybody's tuned in, paying attention, ready for their turns, it should go pretty fast. But if not, then it could be a long chapter 5. We'll see. Anyway, that's all I have. Thanks for tuning in this far. As I mentioned when I started this, I'm going to keep doing them until I'm done, and then I will probably never do this again, but give you a little insight into the prep side of Curse of the Crimson Throne. Thank you. Have a good night. Enjoy whatever game it is you're playing, and I'll see you next week.